Our beloved speaker, Dr. Aditi Sharma is here. Hi, madam.
Hi, good morning.
Shall we begin then?
Yeah, okay.
Over to Bonnie. Bonnie?
Okay. Dr. Aditi Sharma is a senior veterinary officer with a specialization in advanced wildlife management. She is a person with very high operational excellence. She has taken the oath to ensure health and welfare of animals, and she values the lives of human beings at par at the same time. She has the experience of almost 2 decades and treats her patients with great love and care. She has successfully completed 8 international wildlife courses. She has presented 16 papers at the national and 11 papers at international conferences. She has received 18 awards till date for her professional and social work. She is the author of 2 articles and co-author of 2 publications. She is known to mitigate human-wildlife conflict with great courage and humanity. Additionally, she contributes to social cause programs for women empowerment and women's safety. She is a certified POSH Prevention of Sexual Harassment IC specialist and certified in International Women Health and Human Rights from Stanford University. Last but not the least, she loves elephants and is the mother of 4 orphan hand-raised elephant calves. She is the founder of Leaning Group, The Tigress is Calling, and Facebook page Women Wildlife Vets of India. She is the chairman and founder of 2 trusts, Anika the Fearless, Trust for Women's Safety, Health and Empowerment, and Council for Environment and Sustainable Development. She is also a motivational speaker and a thought facilitator. Dr. Aditi Sharma is in fact whole, complete, and perfect professionally, personally, and spiritually. She is an example to be followed by other women. Dr. Aditi Sharma, Madam, we are extremely honored to have you here in this event, and we're all eagerly awaiting your talk session, ma'am. And I invite you to this event.
Thanks a lot. It's a great privilege for me that I've got this chance to interact with all of you. So I'm just sharing my presentation. Just a second. I'm sorry, actually, due to some technical glitch, I was just logged out. So now I'll share. Are you able to see my screen? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Your screen is visible.
Okay. I'm sorry. Because of me, there was a delay of 5 minutes. Okay, so this is a very important topic when we talk about the One Health. And because we are veterinarians, so from a perspective of a veterinarian, this understanding the human animal relationship when we are talking about the One Health is really very important. So we'll be discussing about this is not exactly the concept of One Health, but before we are talking about the One Health, we need to understand this thing. Only then we'll be able to understand the role of animals in the One Health. So this is not a very new relationship. It's a very old relationship between the human and the animals, and it has been like seen or judged from different perspectives at different phases of our civilization. The uses of animals, the role of animals, the use of animals for our benefits, and all those things we really need to look upon if we want to talk about the animal welfare or whatever like say the role of animals is there in achieving the target of One Health. So I would like to say that it's not a very simple relationship. It's not that it's very simple to understand because it has a number of, I can say, like a number of aspects. When we talk about human animal bonds, there are some positive interactions, there are some negative interactions, then there is a issue of animal welfare, then there is a issue of human welfare. So a lot of things are just interwoven when we talk about the human animal relationships. So it's very highly diverse and complex. And of course, it varies across space, time, culture, and animal species. And it has a number of impacts on the transmission of diseases and the pursuit of health. And it depends on how we are interacting with the animals. How good relationship we have with the animals. Do we care for the animals or we are just using them without being empathetic to them? So a lot of things matter when we talk about human animal bonds or human animal relationship. So what are our objectives when we want to study human animal relationship? Then what should be our objectives if we really want to understand that deeply? So first thing is that we should know about the origin, from where it originated, what is its nature, and what is the value of human animal relationships. And we should be aware of how differing cultures and religious beliefs influence the relationship. Then appreciate the distinctions that can be made between animal welfare science and animal ethics. Become familiar with some practical approaches to animal welfare and develop our own critical thinking around how human animal relationships are constructed. Okay. So actually we have been seeing animals from different perspectives since the very beginning of our civilization. There are a number of religions practiced all over the world, and they have their own different beliefs about the animals. Like Christianity, they believe something else. Then in Islam, they believe something else. And in Hinduism, they have their own beliefs. So there is a lot of variation between the beliefs. Like some people think, some religions think that animals were our ancestors. So they see the animals with that point of view, and in the same proportion, they have the kind of respect that animals are our ancestors. Then some human, they believe that, like for in Hinduism, for example, if I say, we have a number of species which we consider as, we can take the example of like Hanuman being the non-human primate. If we take the example, then there is Garud, which is a vulture. We can take example of that. So some people believe that animal heads or species, they are some kind of, they see them as God and they respect them. Then some religious beliefs, they talk about the animal sacrifices. Because, and the concept behind it, like it's not my own personal opinion. There have been reports, and in different religious books, it has been written that humans want to offer some symbol of life. They believe that if we sacrifice, actually, they want to, um, I can say, they want to donate or they want to sacrifice and they want to submit some kind of life in form of blood to the god to please them. This was their thinking, that if we do so, then the gods would be pleased. So of course they will not sacrifice human life. So they found a substitute for that and they started sacrificing the animals. So this was another kind of relationship which they had with the animals. Then if we talk about humans and animals, we have always interacted with animals, either to hunt them as food or to avoid them as predators. Over time, like we have become a species that controls many of other animals that live on the planet because we consider ourselves supreme. It's not that only human beings have the brain to think or do something, but of course we have a voice, which the animals don't have. Or I cannot say they don't have a voice, but like we cannot understand what they want to say or express, and we understand the language of human beings. One person can understand what other person is saying, so we think we are the supreme creatures, and we try to control each and every type of life on the earth. And this is where we do, I cannot say blunder, but yes, of course, mistake, because when we think that we are the supreme creatures and we can do everything according to ourselves, then only we indulge in disturbing the natural resources, the natural processes, and then we face the consequences in form of pandemics like we are going through in present time, like corona pandemic. And there you know that there have been examples of other pandemics also in previous years. Like if I talk that when the concept of One Health was created or it became more common, it this concept existed, I think since like 18 something in 18th century itself, but it was not that common. It was not understood that commonly or that clearly as it is being understood now, because it started with one medicine actually. It was not One Health in the beginning, it was one medicine. So in the beginning, it included only health aspect, just humans and animals, and just medicine. It didn't talk about other aspects of One Health. Like if we talk now, then it has a number of aspects. First of all, when it originated, it did not had the component of environment in that. We just talked of one medicine. We talked of human health and animal health, but we were not considering the ecosystem or the environmental health. Then the time passed by, and when the we faced the cases of avian influenza, it came as a pandemic. Then every institute, organizations like WHO, OIE, FAO, then they started thinking about One Health and they promoted it. They developed a framework for that, and then only we can say in the right meaning the One Health originated. Because before that, a number of people, a number of scientists, someone said one medicine, someone said one medicine, one word, someone said another term, like other terms were also used, but it was not clear. We know that every medicine, every treatment profile, admit like all the trials are done on animals only. Whenever we want to approve some vaccine, some medicine, any treatment protocol, all the experiments are first done on the animals. So we can say that One Health has a main role of animals in that. It started all with animals. It wouldn't be wrong if I say that veterinary sciences or the veterinary medicine is the base of One Health. And there have been studies. It has been reported that actually there was a survey done in, I think, in Australia, and they surveyed the general practitioners, the medicos, and the veterinarians, and they surveyed about the understanding of One Health. Like, what do they understand by One Health, how much knowledge they have of One Health, and how much application they are doing of One Health. So it was then reported that the veterinarians were much more involved in the One Health activities or in the One Health approach rather than the medicos. And a need was felt, and it was written in the results and the recommendations of that survey that there is a need that the medicos, the general practitioners, they should be trained on One Health approach, because veterinarians are already doing that, but it's somewhere lacking with the approach of the medicos. When it all started, the veterinary sciences and the medical sciences, they were intermingled. They were not separate from each other. It started with the animal medicine only. And I want to tell you, just for your information sake, that the very first veterinary hospital, it was built by the great Ashoka, and it was about the treatment of the horses. So it started from there. But with time, the veterinary medicine and the animal medicine, they started separating, because the human medicine, that was developing with much faster speed, and they were going into specializations. And that veterinarians, the only single person, one particular individual, they have to cover each and every aspect. There are less of specializations. I don't say that there are not veterinary specialization in field, but of course, if we compare with the human medicine, we have less of the specialists. And even if you are a specialist, then also you are expected that you should know about each and every aspect of the veterinary medicine, and you are expected to practice it also. So with time, it got separated. Then when we started facing pandemics, we started having the cases of zoonotic diseases, then again a need was felt that the veterinarians and the medicos, they have to work together in a coordinated way, collaborating with each other. So this was the time when again the veterinary medicine and the human medicine, the veterinarians and the medicos, they started coming together again. So there were different phases in the journey of One Health if we start seeing from the very beginning. And when we say that veterinarians has a very important role in One Health approach, then of course we know that if veterinarians have a so important role, then animals also have a very important place in One Health. Because you know that around 75%, in fact, the zoonotic diseases they have the origin from the animals, and 60% of that they have from the wild animals. So it's not only important to study about the domestic animals, it's also very important that we divide the animals into two categories, the wild ones and the domestic ones. And we have to study about both the categories of the animals and our interaction with the domestic animals as well as wild animals. So, okay, like I'll be explaining as we go ahead the journey of the One Health and the role of animals in that. For this particular slide, I just want to end this with saying that we had to build relationship with other animals in order to become successful. Even when we believe that we are the supreme creatures and we can control everything, then also we needed the support, we needed the services of the animals for our own benefits and um, of course success. So we cannot deny, we cannot survive without having relationship with animals. If we see the history of the human animal relationship, it goes back to very big, and it was in form of, first of all, it was in form of domestication. And domestication, by domestication, what do we mean? The process by which animals adapted to humans and captive environment by some combination of genetic changes occurring over generations and developmental events repeating during each generation. And there are a number of processes and methods, like some animals undergo natural selection because of their ability to breed and thrive in human-centered environment. When we say like the survival of the fittest, so we don't interfere at all, we don't intervene at all. This is a process of natural selection, and they breed and thrive in human-centered environment. Then another one is relaxation of natural selection. Because when we talk about natural selection, it also includes the predation pressure. Especially if we talk about the wild animals and we say that the survival of the fittest is the theory, that includes the predation pressure as well. There are some prey species, there are some predator species. So if we want that these prey species should survive, then we have to reduce the predation pressure. So this is what we call relaxation of natural selection. We provide support to those animals because somewhere we think that we need those animals for our benefits. So we reduce the predation pressure. Then artificial selection is there. When some animals, they are hard to handle and more likely to run off, so they are killed for meat. We need the meat from them because otherwise we cannot handle them. The live animals we cannot handle and domesticate. Like if we talk about, it's not very common in India, but of course in other countries the bush meat is very common. They are like consuming the wild animals meat also. It's not allowed in India because the Indian Wildlife Act, it doesn't allow hunting. So we are not consuming the bush meat, but of course in other countries they are. Like they have wet markets also, and even the hunting is also allowed for the wild animals meat. So such animals, they are artificially selected. Then origin of cattle farming or domestication. The first thing was that first relationship which we built with the animals was their domestication. Then we started thinking that now we have domesticated the animals, now what use we can make from these animals. Then we started thinking about animal husbandry, and the animals also, they accompanied when the early human beings, they went for the hunting. And like this, there were examples of services or the activities where the animals accompanied the humans and they were in relationship with the humans. So like we have been farming cattle for at least 10,000 years. As per the Decker et al., they reported in 2014, the source is this. And the cattle were one of the first animals to be domesticated for agriculture. And there is an evidence of multiple domestication events as reported by Risto et al. In 2015. And this picture shows the same thing, that there are evidences of multiple domestication events. Now, various kind of animal-human relationships can be seen as animal husbandry, when we use the animals for production and for food production, for milk production, and these kind of examples. Another kind of relationship with animals which we have is animal welfare. when we don't only think about the welfare of the human beings, we also think about the welfare of the animals, because we accept that we are using the animals for our own benefits, so we should take care of them. And another reason for animal welfare is that when the animal is in good condition, in good environment, and it has all the freedom to space, food, water, everything, then the production of the animal also increases. And when the animal is not in stress, it's stress free, then the quality of the products, the animal products which the animal is producing, it also improves. It has less of harmful hormones in that, like cortisol. So because of our benefit also, and due to our moral or ethical duty also, we have now started talking about the animal welfare. So this is another kind of relationship, and this is somewhere also related with the One Health, because when we are thinking about the animal welfare, we are taking care about of the animal. Of course, we are taking care of the health of the animal as well. The animal, we would try that the animal should be disease free, it should be healthy. And when the animal would be healthy, of course, there would be less chances of disease transmission from animals to human beings. So, directly or indirectly, whatever relationship we have with the animals, the humans have with the animals, they have one role or the other in achievement of One Health. Third thing is animal rights. Some people get confused. They think that animal welfare and animal rights are the same thing, but no, it's not same. Of course, both have their own ethics, and it's based on the ethics and moralities, but they are different. It's not same. Both are ethical concepts, but when we talk about the animal right, then it asks that should we use animals or even have any bonds with them? But the animal welfare, it asks how should we use animals? The people who promote animal rights, who support animal rights, they say that we should not interfere with the natural processes, with the natural environment where the animals are living, just because we need some benefit from the animals. They should have their own rights, their own freedoms, and they should not be interfered. But the animal welfare accepts that yes, of course, we need the animals. We need to be in relationship with the animals, but it is our duty that we will use the animals in a humane way. We will take care of the welfare of the animal, we'll take care of the health of the animal, of the nutrition of the animal, everything will take care, and in return we will get some benefit from the animals. Animal rights, they are coming from the human point of view, and animal welfare, it tries to ask about the animal's view. Like if we are using the animals, then what is those things which animal needs? Because it's not that if we are not interfering with the animals, or like we need the animals, sometimes animals also need the company of humans. Why? Because when sometimes like they are diseased, they are injured, or they, if I talk about the wild animals, like if they get into some trap, so human services are needed, then we should interfere at that place. But yes, of course, when there is a process of survival of the fittest going on inside the forest, then we should not intervene. Animal welfare doesn't say that if some predator species is predating on the prey species in the forest, so animal welfare doesn't say that we should go and stop this. No, this is a natural process. We should let it go, because that is the how the food chain goes. So we should not intervene in that. We have to understand the difference between management of domestic animals and management of wild animals. When all our concepts would be clear about the relationships, which the kind of relationships which the human can have with the animals, and about different species of animals, what benefits we can get from which species of animals, what diseases are carried by which species of animals, what living condition, what kind of habitat the animal need. When we will understand all these things, all everything about the requirement of the animals of different species, then only we would be prepared to talk about the role of animals or the veterinarians as human beings or the medicos, and also about the health of the environment when we talk about One Health. Because you see, in One Health, there is a component of human health, there is a component of animal health, there is a component of ecosystem or environment health. So if we talk about environment in perspective of the animals, then it connects with their habitat. If their habitat is fragmented, deforestation is there, lot of linear development is there inside in the forest area, encroachment is there, lot of anthropogenic pressure is there on the forests, then the habitat of animal would be disturbed. This is particularly about the wild animals. Then the what will happen that the gap between the forest and the residential area would be narrowed down, and the interaction of the humans and the livestock, the domestic animal species, with the wild animals would increase. And this is the situation when they come into contact with each other and the disease are transmitted. Otherwise, wild animals have their own habitat to live in. They live in forests, and domestic animals, they have their own place because they are being taken care by the humans. They are living in the residential areas. But when the human, they don't take care of the domestic animals, and they just leave them for the grazing into the forest, then you can see how closely the domestic animals and the wild animals are interacting with each other. So you can imagine that how easily the diseases can be transmitted. And once the domestic animals, the livestock, they contract the diseases and they are zoonotic, they'll come back to their owner, and they can transmit the diseases to the human beings. So every aspect of interaction of humans and animals, and when we talk about the animals, domestic and the wild ones, we have to understand it very deeply. Then only we'll be able to this is you can say that this is all preparation. If you'll try to think about or learn about the concept of One Health without understanding these kind of relationships between the humans and the animals and the environment, though today we are not covering the aspect of environment in this, but it's always involved. So unless we understand the connections, the interconnections between all these three components, we'll not be able to understand the One Health. So this understanding you have to develop even before going to learn about the One Health concept. Now, if we talk about the types of human-animal bonds, it can be in form of domestic animals, domestication, which the humans have been doing since the very beginning of the human civilization. It's a complex two-way process of human evolution and animal selection. Then in form of agriculture, this is the biggest reason behind the domestication of the species. Why the human thought of domesticating the animals? Because it needed the supported agriculture. It needed some kind of food source of animal origin. Like for example, sheep, goat, cattle, dogs are like pet can be in form of dogs or cats. In agriculture, we use sheep, goat, cattle, all these things. Then for hunting purposes, there are other animals, though hunting is not allowed in India, but in other countries it's allowed. For the surplus population, the hunting permits are issued. So it can be in form of food requirement. It can be in form of your entertainment, like people like to go for the horse riding. And now, though, because of the animal welfare issues, the elephant rides have been banned. But otherwise, elephant rides were also there. So either it be because of you need the support in agriculture, or you need the support for your own health, or you need the support for entertainment, your income generation. You just cannot avoid the presence of animals in the lives of human beings. We are inseparable. So, better to understand our relationship, better to try to improve it, and better to know the pros and cons of living with the animals. And of course, in cons, disease transmission is one very important aspect. Like some people, they may find it hard to think of human animal bonds between humans and animals that are destined to be slaughtered for consumption. Some things we can say that it's of only of human benefit. Animals are not getting benefited with it. Like when we slaughter the animals for meat for consumption, then it's only for the human purpose. There is no welfare of the animal. But yes, we can think of the animal welfare in this activity also, by slaughtering them by humane methods, by trying to minimize their sufferings. That is why there have been a number of improvement in methods of the slaughtering also. You can compare the slaughterhouses which used to be in past, and you can compare them with the modern slaughterhouses, the techniques, the methods being used. So the objective is to minimize the pain, and that minimize the pain and the fear, and that is also somewhere connected with the quality of the meat as well. And then if we talk about the human animal relationship continuum, then it can be negative interaction, which can create fear in the animals, and it can be positive interaction, which can make the animals as our social partners. Now, if we think that what do we get, what the humans get out of these bonds? So we can see that good bonds between humans and their animals improve the animal welfare. There can be indirect benefits, because if the animals are healthy, the disease transmission would be less. And if we are using them for meat purpose, then the production would be good, yields would be higher, quality of the meat would be better. That for example, you know that a number of diseases are there, say parasitic diseases, which the humans can contract from the consumption of the meat. For example, one is like trichinella. In Uttarakhand, it has been reported that a number of human casualties had happened because of this disease, trichinella. And when the samples from the animals were collected and they were investigated, they were tested from domestic pigs, from wild boar, from carnivores like tiger or leopard, then we got to know that the carnivores in Uttarakhand, especially, I cannot comment on other districts, but of course Dehradun and Haridwar, the leopards and tigers in that area are positive for trichinella. The wild boars, positive for trichinella. The domestic pigs, positive for trichinella. A number of cases, if I send whatever samples I sent to IVRI, at least 80% of those samples from carnivores and wild boar, they were positive for trichinella. So we have to take care of such thing also. Another example, like if we take example of avian influenza, then in that case also you know that it's zoonotic, and during the phase when the avian influenza happens, then there are a lot of doubts whether to consume the eggs or not, whether to consume the meat or not. And then a guideline is there that at what temperature you have to cook the meat, whether you can like you are not advised to take the half fried egg, boil it properly. So these kind of things we have to take care of when we are interacting with the animals or we are using the animal products to attain One Health. Because One Health is the being healthy and well-being of humans, of animals, of environment. Then the direct benefits which we get is, of course, we are getting food. And another very important thing is that we use pets for our recreation also, decreasing our stress also, and they help us in improving our health. They have been used with a lot of examples are there where the very critical patients, they have improved with because of the company of the dogs or cats. And now even the medicos, they have accepted this thing and they prescribe, they say that it's better that you have some pet with you. But of course, when you are having a pet, you have to be careful about what diseases this pet animal can transmit to you. You should take care of the health of the that your pet also, and the management. Like for example, from the recent time, from corona, after corona, that black fungus issue was there. So I studied about that what is the connection from the animals and between humans. Corona, of course, we are not sure, but still there were reports that corona like virus has been isolated from bats. Though the another school of thought was that it was being prepared in the laboratory. It was not I mean, it's not natural. It's some artificial virus being produced in the laboratory in China and it leaked out. But the more dominant fact which came out was that because of the wet markets and all consumption of the uncooked meat of wild animals, especially the bats, the interaction with bats, this happened, corona. After that, black fungus. It made the life more difficult because after having corona, the corona patients, when they developed black fungus, it was fatal. So even the dogs can transmit this black fungus to you. So if you are a patient, then you have to take care, if you are having a pet, that you should not contract such diseases. Then I'm talking about the human benefits again and again because we cannot deny that when we have a relationship with the animals, we are the ones who are more benefited. Animals are not that much benefited from humans as we are benefited from them. So most research has been done in companion animals. For example, like owning a pet, as I said, it's reported that the quality of life is improved. Then pet owners, they have a low level of risk for cardiovascular disease because they have a less stress. Their stress is decreased because of the pets. Then children with pets, they show more empathy to animals and humans and adults because from the very beginning, from their childhood, they learn how to care about some other species, that they should be more caring about the animals. So from the childhood, they develop this emotions or say empathy for the animals, and when they grow up, then also the same thing continues. And in that case, we have more chances that we would be talking about the animal welfare. Now I've written one last phrase in this one welfare concept. So first there was a concept of one medicine, then there was a concept of one health. Now this concept has also come up, which we call as one welfare. So it's about the welfare of the animals as well as humans. So there are a number of terms which we get confused with. Like we talk about One Health, then we talk about ecosystem health, then we talk about planetary health, then we talk about global health. So lot now, and we are talking about one welfare, one medicine, one word. So a lot of terms are there, but we have to learn to differentiate them. In ecosystem health, there is more focus upon the ecosystem rather than as compared with One Health. In One Health, there is equal focus on animal health, human health, and environment health. But when we use the term ecosystem health, it's more of focus upon environment. And likewise, the focus it differentiates the terms by on which component we are focusing. And some components are there, like even not only health issue, we are also seeing to the social aspects, we are also covering the cultural aspects, we are talking about the ecology, we are talking about the sustainable development. So with time, this One Health concept is now broadening more and more, but we have to understand it from the very beginning when it originated. If you start from the middle, you'll get confused. So first try to learn about the history, from where it originated, why it originated, to why I said that it originated, because we saw that there are a number of zoonotic diseases which are being transmitted, and the pandemics are happening, and we are losing a lot of human lives, and even it's affecting the international trade, and it's affecting the economies. So I can say that it was very old concept, but if we see in right manner, it has been a decade when everyone is conscious about One Health, and they are now talking about collaborative effort. They are talking about multidisciplinary approach or transdisciplinary approach. They are saying that different disciplines, they should work together, not only veterinarians and the environmentalists and the medicos, but also entomologists, because they have to take care about the vectors. You know that every disease is not transmitted directly. Some diseases are there which are transmitted through vectors. So even we have to study about the vectors also. So entomologist, anthropologist, everything is now being included in One Health. It is broadening more and more with the days. But whatever you include in One Health, this relationship between human and animal, it will always be a very important part of One Health. Without understanding this relationship, you will not be able to achieve One Health, because especially if you talk, other aspects are also important, equally important. I'll not say they are less important, but a layman, if you will ask a layman about One Health, they'll say that it's about the health and it's about zoonotic diseases. So the most important part is, of course, related with the connection between the humans and the animals. And the interactions is important, because when we are interacting with the animals, then there are chances that we contract the disease from the animals. So I have discussed all these things not because I wanted to tell you that how we are getting benefits from the animals, but I just wanted to tell you that all these relationships, all these activities, for whatever benefit we are using the animals, we are coming in close contact with the animals, we are physically touching the animals, and that is the reason that we are very prone to contract diseases from the animals, let it be wild animals or domestic animals. Even the concept of human wildlife conflict can be related to this One Health and can be related to human animal relationships, because as I said, the interface is now like there's more interaction between the wild animals, domestic animals and humans, because wild animals are now straying out into residential areas. We are encroaching, the humans are encroaching into the forest, they are converting more and more of forest land into agricultural land, so there is no gap between the wild animals habitat and the places where the livestock or the human are living. So they are interacting with each other, and when the habitat is disturbed, everything is disturbed, ecosystems are disturbed, and there is more and more chances of spillover of the diseases. So the reason why I wanted to talk about this topic is to just to make you understand that if you really want to study One Health, to understand One Health, first try to understand the interactions between humans and animals. And I'm not an environmentalist, but otherwise, even it's important to understand the interaction of humans and animals with the environment as well, because it has its own impact on the health. So that part is also important to understand. So thank you very much for listening. I don't know how much I could convey my message to you, but if you have any query about whatever I have told you, so I'll be happy to answer you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now it's time for question and some interaction. If you're having any doubts, please ask. Or you can type it in the chat box also.
Shall I stop sharing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Feel free to ask.
Please don't hesitate to ask. You know, subject landscape ecology. In that, they study about the landscape and different aspect of landscape. Then, if I talk about the students who study forest management, they also study about various aspects of uh, the environment also, because in they have one subject which is called like about it's about the environment impact essay. So whenever any project has to be started, let it be connected with the electricity production, let it be anything else, so they need a permission. Any industry, any factory, they have to take a permission, and for that permission they need to do the environment impact essay. Whatever activity anyone is going to do, first they have to submit what impact this is going to have on the environment. So after doing EIA, environment impact essay, then only they get the permission. So they, even for the environment studies and to help with the environment health, there are not a single person, there are a number of different disciplines who can take care of the environment. The people who are related with, like say, pollution board, they study a different aspect of environment. And then people who are studying about the ecosystem services, they study about the carbon footprint. Then climatologists who study about the climate change. So all these are person who will take care of the environment. Okay, then Shambhavi says that despite everyone knowing basics of animal welfare and other aspects, still in general we fall to actually imply it in both small scale and larger too. Would you please discuss on how we can try and explain or even implement regarding this topic to general public? Okay, so you want to, I think you want to know that how the knowledge of animal welfare can be conveyed to the general public. Am I right, Shambhavi? So, even in the, if you want to study about the animal welfare, there are a number of theories. I think 6 or 7 theories are there about the animal welfare, and all of them, directly or indirectly, they talk about the 5 freedoms or these kind of things. So they talk about the space the animal should be given. They talk about um, the food, the water, the care, proper care, the stress-free environment. All these things are covered in animal welfare, and you, as a veterinarian, are the best person to uh, tell the public about the animal welfare and what the animal welfare means. So first you study about the animal welfare, you get to know about the different freedoms which they need, the animal needs, if we want to take care of the welfare, and then you can in simple language convey this to the public. Even you can develop some charts or something, some digital small documentaries explaining about the freedoms, 5 freedoms which the animals need if we want to take care of the welfare. So you're the best person, but first you have to know the different concepts of animal welfare, and please don't mix it with animal rights. Animal rights are different and animal welfare is different. Animal rights will not let us use the animals for anything, but animal welfare would let us use the animals for different purposes, but in a humane way, taking care of the welfare of the animals. Okay. So anyone else?
Okay, ma'am. If there are no more questions, we can conclude.
Yeah, of course.